Long Island Backstory with Chief Correspondent Gary Jacobs.
Hi, I'm Gary. Welcome to another edition of Long Island Backstory. We're on location today at the Melville Marriott right off of Route 110 in Huntington. Good morning, everybody. I'm Gary Jacobs, President of Americans for Legal Reform. Today is April 4th or 5th. What are we at? April 4th, 2019, and we're here at the Melville Marriott doing a protest against Supreme Court Judge Cheryl Joseph. Many people have asked why we picked today and why we picked this hotel. I certainly wouldn't have picked today because it's cold as hell out here, but yet we still have close to 40 people here doing our protests. We even ran out of protest signs. We had so many people. So, I mean, it's good and it's bad. It's good because we had so many people here to show support, and it's not easy to come out, in the middle of the week at 9 o'clock in the morning, and it's freezing cold out here, but we still had a lot of people come. So it's good that so many people come, but it's bad that so many people felt that strongly about it that they took off from work for the morning to be here. Sorry, I was looking, the cops keep coming by, so. After you've been through family court, everybody's got a little bit of PTSD, and when you see the cops or the sheriff drive by, you feel your heart, you start to hope that they're not here to arrest you. But again, so many people have asked, there are a lot of bad judges here in Suffolk County. We have Judge Leo, who's just an absolutely horrible judge. Luckily, we lost one of the really bad judges, Judge Donald Blydenberg, who died a few years ago after being removed from the bench. So you're not supposed to say bad things about dead people, so I'm not going to say anything because I have nothing nice to say about that man. We still have a horrible judge that's still alive, unfortunately, Judge Marion McNulty, who was forced off the bench. But, she's still out there and still got bad memories and people living with her bad decisions. But today we're doing Judge Cheryl Joseph. And just a little bit of background on Judge Joseph. Most Supreme Court judges are elected. And I say elected because it's usually the decision is made by the party leaders, they cross-endorse, and they pick their favorite person. Usually they pick the worst, for the most part, they get the worst dumb lawyers who couldn't make a living being a lawyer because they sucked, and they begged the parties to become a candidate for judge, and then they become a judge. So you get the worst of the lawyers becoming a judge. But at least if they do a bad job, and we expose it, hopefully they wouldn't get to run again or they wouldn't get reelected. But Judge Joseph never would have got elected, in my opinion, because she's a nasty, nasty woman. She was a piece of shit lawyer, and nobody would have hired her probably, because I could tell you if I saw somebody like that, I would be out protesting against the party who supported her. So what do? Our lovely governor, who just gave himself a $40,000 raise, Governor Cuomo, he appoints Judge Joseph to the Court of Claims, knowing that she'll never sit in the Court of Claims for any length of time. And then there's a loophole where they transfer her to the Supreme Court to a vacant seat, which now she doesn't have to run for years, and then she's a sitting judge. Nobody wants to make her lose her job. So that's how Judge Joseph got into the Supreme Court, and probably why she's such a nasty bitch, because she knows she didn't have to worry about getting elected. She's Cuomo's hand-picked child. How crazy is it that one of the nasty judges that's got tons of complaints filed against her, that has protests against her, is now teaching a continued education class to attorneys on diversity, on family law, on custody? This is a woman who needs to be taught about custody because she doesn't listen to the law. So when I put this out there, a lot of people said, again, there's so many bad judges out there. Why are you picking Judge Joseph to go after? So I took some notes, and I have some things that she did that were really outrageous. We came to know of Judge Joseph when we were advocating for Dr. Carlos Rivera, who many of you have seen on in my opinion, one of the best shows on cable, Long Island Backstory. And just as a little plug, if you're watching, please like us on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. But we covered him. He was also featured on This Is Life with Lisa Ling. That was on CNN. And he's a doctor who went in front of Judge Joseph. We were advocating for him. And throughout his life, he had suffered depression. But of course, going through the divorce and being harassed by his ex-wife, it plummeted him into a deeper depression, so much so that the state of New York determined that he was temporarily disabled and couldn't get a job and didn't have to work. That wasn't good enough for Judge Joseph. he had doctors ready to come in and testify to the fact that he was incapable of working and maintaining his current salary rate. Yet the judge actually said on the record that she didn't have to go by the disability claim. She wasn't going to listen to it. She was going to make her own decision. In fact, she said she wasn't even going to listen to the experts. She had already made her mind. So now she thinks because she's a judge, she can also make the medical decisions on people who are in front of her. Exactly what we don't want judges to do. We want them to listen to the facts in the case, come in with an open mind and make a decision. We were fortunate enough to find, we always say there's a lot of bad attorneys, and there are. We were fortunate enough at ALR, Americans for Legal Reform, to work with an attorney out of Jericho by the name of Judith Powell. She took the case on a pro bono basis, which is very difficult to take such a tough case. Yet she still took it on a pro bono basis and was literally abused by Judge Joseph, practically bringing her to tears the way she was screaming at her in the court, in essence calling Judy Powell, her attorney, in essence calling her a liar for saying that she couldn't come to court one day. She needed a different day, which she had all the other days that were available, because she had to take her son for an emergency medical appointment, and she forced her on the record to say exactly what she had to do, which isn't even proper because attorneys are supposed to be officers of the court, and what they say is supposed to be true, even though it's ironic. But you got a woman who's pro se, pro bono, doing the right thing, helping this man, trying to keep him out of jail, and the judge abuses her. So some other notes of things she did. At one point, we asked to relieve Judy Powell from the case because it was obvious that Judge Joseph had a hard-on for her and was against her. So we decided, maybe we'd get some new blood in there. We actually mistakenly thought maybe she would be better with the man. Ended up she didn't like men either. But so he had to be relieved. She gets relieved from the case. And in between him getting an attorney, she tells the attorney to sit down and then starts questioning him without an attorney on the record, trying to trap him into saying the wrong thing, knowing that he's suffering from depression, which is why he's there in the first place. That's what we get with court date. Another thing, we had the judge, we had testimony coming in from an attorney, a doctor who was Dr. Rivera's treating physician. And this dumbass judge did not even know the difference between an expert witness and a treating physician. This is a judge, and the attorney, Judy Powell, is explaining to her the difference between the two and the evidence that's put forward, and this judge didn't even understand the difference. And she's sitting as Supreme Court, the judge. She actually kept referring to the attorney, Judy Powell, who's doing an excellent job representing him, as incompetent, and nastily asking her if she knew how to practice law. I mean, insulting another attorney who was there trying to do something, working for free. I mean, it was really, really a disgrace. In fact, she didn't like all the court watchers there. We had a lot of court watchers, thank God, from Americans for Legal Reform, that we sat in there and we watched the case unfold. And she would have sometimes 5, 6, 7, 8 court officers in there, obviously as an intimidation to intimidate all of us. She really didn't want anybody in the courtroom watching what was going on, and made it very, very uncomfortable, and made it a very untenable situation where really anything was going to explode. And at one point, one of the court officers went up to Lanzisera, the founder of Americans for Legal Reform, and demanded that he turn over his personal notepad that he was taking notes in the court. He said by order of the judge, she doesn't want any recording. And in her mind, that was a recording because he was writing down what was said. What was she so worried about that was going to be brought up on this, that it needed to be confiscated? So she confiscated. Of course, it had attorney-client privilege information. They told him they would arrest him if he didn't turn it over. He turns it over after the break, and a lot of screaming. She gave it back and apologized. Then she had a court officer harass me, claiming that I had my phone in the vestibule, and I looked at it, and that was against the rules. That, according to this court officer, Kazimo Ali, he made up the rules in the court and proceeded to physically assault me. This judge effed up this case so bad that she declared on her own motion, sua sponte, she declared a mistrial. Now, you may see a mistrial when there's another person who's been screwed in court. You may declare a mistrial when there's a jury because there's misconduct with the jury. You find out that somebody spoke or something. This is no jury. It's one judge. She declared a mistrial on herself. That's how bad she screwed up the case. So, in summary, this is not a judge who should be teaching a class to other attorneys. First of all, the other attorneys who were there are obviously there to suck up to her. Maybe they think they'll do better in front of her, when they appear, and maybe they will, because she certainly doesn't do what's right. So I want to thank, now we have a lot more people who showed up, so close to 50 people who were here this morning to be here for the protest. Really appreciate it. Anybody who couldn't make it, you can see there, Join Americans for Legal Reform. We meet the first Tuesday of every month. Come down, meet people, meet other supporters. You got to do something. Be part of the solution. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. So thank you everybody for watching, and please share this video.
Good morning. My name is Jim Kelly, and on the morning of February 26, 2016, Judge Cheryl Joseph, kept me from seeing my kids, and she spoke to me in a manner that I could not understand her. Did not make it clear what she was doing or what I could do to defend myself, held me accountable to the standards of an attorney when there was no way I was going to be able to do that. And my relationship with my children has never been the same since. I've seen them for 16 hours since then, and that's just so completely unacceptable. I was one of the court watchers in Dr. Carlos Rivera's trial, and it was before the event that was mentioned. And I will tell you that court officer, Cosimo Ali, came behind me to watch what I was writing when I took notes. So there is a war on families in this country. It's real. On one side is the judiciary, on the other side are the litigants. Not just custodial and non-custodial parents, but both of them. We go to court looking for a fair answer to a problem. That's not what we get. We expect an impartial trier of the facts. That's not what we get. What we get is somebody who is biased. All right? You have a situation where the judges are employees of the state. The state benefits from child support. And I want you to look up, if you're not familiar with this, look up the Social Security Act, Title 4D, Section 458, where it says in big letters, incentives to the states. And that incentive comes to the state through Health and Human Services grant CFDA 93563, where the state of New York took in $263 million in 2017 dollars. So now you have a situation where the judge all state judges have skin in the game. They benefit financially by destroying families. This isn't just unacceptable for me. This is unacceptable for everyone. This is the kind of thing where I didn't understand this was the situation in the courts. I thought everything was fine. I was ignorant. And I liked my ignorance until all of a sudden this devastation happened and my kids were ripped out of my life. So I am neither ignorant now, nor I'm not ignorant of my rights, and I'm looking to enforce them. And I think that more people need to be involved in this type of organization to do just that. So thank you.
My name is Richard Bonzone. I live in Nassau County, have for the past 25 years. 5 years ago, I was brought before Nassau County Court. I petitioned the court for custody of my daughter, who was 2.5 at the time. The mother of my child decided to leave and go to another state, to New Jersey. When I petitioned the court, I thought that I was going to see some kind of justice, having brought up in that environment and brought to believe that there was some justice in court. And instead of being the petitioner, I became the defendant after a very short period of time. The judge, Merrick Aaron, did not follow rule of law, did not listen to any of the violations that I had filed, over 7 of them, and after a trial that was drawn out for about 4 years. I was then lost custody of my daughter. The mother was awarded custody, and at this point, I get to see my daughter 4 days per month. After paying $140,000 in school taxes alone in Nassau County over a 23-year period, I got to send my daughter to school 1 day. And when I did that, I was told by the judge that was asinine to send my daughter to school for only the 2 days a week that I had visitation at that particular point. This is going on all over the country. This is a very small percentage of families that have been affected. And the two things that everyone has in common is that their money's been taken and their children have been taken. We've been separated from our children. The media is paying attention and running around with their hair on fire for the past 8 months about people coming into our country illegally and those children being separated from their parents. In the meantime, over the past 30 years, tens of millions of families have been broken apart, and those are U.S. tax-paying families. People are tired of it. We're supporting this. And we're having our dollars taken from us at the same time, in addition to our children.
My name is Richard Scotty. I first heard about all of this through my brother, who saw Dr. Carlos Rivera's story on CNN. From there, I got in touch with Carlos, who put me in touch with Gary, and I watched some of Gary's shows, learned about what Carlos had went through and what Gary went through. I watched his story. My story is a little different, but it's the same system. Monday, I'm going for the 23rd time in the past 2 years to try to get a reduction in my child support. I used to own a successful printing company, and we all know what happened to printing. It's basically obsolete. And unfortunately, the magistrates tell you things like 60 is the new 50, get a second job, get a third job. In the process, my children have been alienated against me. They're 13 and 12 years old. I have older children from another marriage that try to talk to them and go see daddy, and they've been shown financial documents that they don't understand. They're told daddy doesn't love us because he won't buy me this or put me in a special school.
Perfect, thank you.
So it's insane what goes on. Thank you, Gary, and thank you, Carlos, for having me involved.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mike Gilligan, and I'm a dad, also a retired New York City police officer. I've gotten the education of my life, post-NYPD, in law and the process that I was extremely ignorant to while I was active as a police officer. The system is broken, folks, really broken. I'm a victim. My children are victims of parental alienation. I guess you could say I'm a victim as well, but I don't like to characterize myself that way. I really want to look around and just let everybody know here that the solution is within everybody here. And you have to fight back. You have to stand up in court by yourself, like many times I did, without a lawyer. You have to do some research on your own. And you have to face the devil, our ignorance, and our unwillingness to come up to a podium in a courtroom like this and say, I ain't doing this no more. I don't consent to your benefit. I don't wish to enter into your Ponzi scheme, because I did this. I fought my own order of protection against a lot of people telling me you better go in there with a lawyer. And you want to know what? I educated myself. I listened to people on YouTube who talk about law. I applied some of their techniques, and you want to know what? They didn't like it. And they couldn't do nothing about it when I did it. And I won. I beat an order of protection, but I paid the price. I didn't see my kids for 7 months, 9 months. And I'm in a good place right now because my ex just tried to move my kids to Florida. She actually did. And I acted on it right away because I knew what I had to do. And I got them to come back. And now she finally made a mistake. And I've been alienated from my sons for 2 years. And that's the other heartbreaking story here is that, children, with the help of the system, who's more interested in collecting your money than helping you be a father or a mother to your children. They don't care. And we need to stop this nonsense. Because most of them are in there, they've been taught a certain way. They're ignorant to the reality of things. It's stepping out of the dark and into the light. And believe me, I guess I gotta admit it. As a cop, in a lot of issues, I was in the dark. I'm in the light now, and I see what's going on. It's got to stop, and it's up to you, and it's up to me. Thank you.
My name is Jawan Bey. I'm the president of the Foreclosure Revolution Cooperative Society. We assist homeowners in keeping their homes against the fraudulent conveyances of the mortgages that have not abated since 2008 with the housing debacle. I am in complete allegiance and support of this group because the destruction of the family is abomination before God in my mind.
I'm Donald Caulfield, and I'm a big part of this as well. And I'd like to say to all the people around the country, not just the few states, all around the country, we all have to pull together. Because if we don't pull together, these corrupt judges and lawyers are going to take over. And they already basically did take over. But we have to stand together to get them the hell out of office. Thank you.
Carl Lanzisera. I started this organization. I've been doing it for 30 years. And there are a few good lawyers, there are a few good judges out there, and we thank them for their help. And we hope that they will become stronger, and we have to find the good lawyers and the good judges and let the bad ones know. Thank you.
Hi, how you doing? My name's Glenn Svoboda. I've been doing this for just about 30 years. I learned from Carl and everyone else. I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to talk briefly about Mike the cop. There's a lot of policemen and firemen that they don't get to see their children with this family court abuse and Supreme Court abuse, yet they're asked to save other people's children. I mean, it's ironic the way they have the system.
Hello, my name is Dr. Carlos Rivera, and I'm pretty much the prime example of how much that this system can destroy you, and it's been a horrifying experience the entire way. I went from being a successful pediatrician who loved my patients and loved taking care of the families who I was entrusted with, and that dream that I'd worked so long for has been shattered. As part of my court experience, I was in Judge Joseph's court, and I went in with complete optimism and trust that my case would be heard impartially and things would go well. But I was horrified in my experience and what I saw in there and what happened to the members of Americans for Legal Reform. I've been lucky that Americans for Legal Reform has really come a long way for me and helped me tremendously with my court case, in particular Gary Jacobs, who's picked me up off the floor and multiple times when I fell in despair, Carl Lanzisera, who has really given so much of himself to help me and support me. So I'm here today in support of everyone here, not just for myself. I think it's important that we speak out, we group together, and we try to make a difference. So for those of you who are afraid to come out, you have to break through that fear, come out and support things. We won't be able to make a change unless we unite together and show the politicians and the judges that we can lobby and make a difference. So I implore you to please get involved, and I wish you the best in your court experience. Take care.
My name is Mohammed. I'm not into any family court issues, but what I see you guys go through as a father, I believe that I should be involved in this, and I am. So I'm from Queens County, and if anything happened, I know Carl, American for Legal Reform, Carlos Rivera, Gary Jacobs, they can come in and help us. Now, one of the things that I wanted to tell you is there are a couple of issues that we need to face, and we need to tell our politicians who are running for the office. First of all, most of you have children, and you guys take care of your children, right? You change diapers when they're young, you take them to school, you give them bath. Then why you are not considered as the best care provider? My main goal is to have a council for men India and United States, and all over the world. So I have reached out to India, people in India. I have reached out to people in Bangladesh. That's where I'm originally from. And we have Bangladesh men's rights movement. We have Indian men's rights movement. I created a bridge.
Thank you for joining us again on location at the Marriott Hotel at the protest for Judge Cheryl Joseph. If you aren't able to make it here today, please click like on the Facebook page. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. Share this all over social media. We need to get the message out, and we'll see everybody next week.
Gary Jacobs and Long Island Backstory, winner of the Huntington Lodge No. 124's 2018 Community Service Award in recognition of the efforts to offer an alternative access to news stories of interest to all Long Islanders. Long Island Backstory is made possible in part by Americans for Legal Reform, the oldest, most successful legal group in the world. P.O. Box 2679, Huntington Station, New York 11746. Telephone 631-421-6390. Website Americans4legalreform.com.
I tried Oxy at a couple of parties. I didn't know it'd be this addictive. I didn't know how far I'd go to get more.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth.
I don't remember how it started. Our back and forth. Victory. Fumble. Repeat. It always came back.
Okay, here we go, throw it! Yeah.
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Nice.
Red hat. Oops. Red shirt, blue shirt, yellow shirt. Oops. Yellow pants, red pants, green pants. Oops.